Plasma fire thundered through the shattered corridors of Kepler Station, each blast echoing like the station itself was. Screaming in pain, Jake Martinez slammed his back against a buckled metal bulkhead and checked his rifle. 12 shots left. Not enough. The war between the Earth Defense Corps and the Zephyrian Collective had dragged on for 3 brutal years, and Jake had survived long enough to recognize the signs of a losing fight. The smoke choking the air, the flickering lights, the distant screams buried beneath collapsing steel. Today was one of those days. Visibility was down to a few meters. Shadows danced along the walls as emergency lights failed and rebooted in uneven pulses. Somewhere nearby, heavy footsteps echoed through the corridors. ZAPHI, and patrols. Tall, blue-skinned figures moved through the haze with practiced precision. Plasma rifles sweeping back and forth as they hunted the remaining humans. Jake swallowed hard. He was a demolition specialist, trained to break things, not survive alone. His squad was gone dead or scattered during the retreat. The captain's last order had been clear: fall back to the escape pods. Jake never made it. Now he was alone, bleeding, and trapped inside a dying station that groaned like it might tear itself apart at any moment. He moved carefully through the wreckage. Steam hissed from ruptured pipes. Twisted beams blocked entire corridors. The station structure screamed under stress. Then Jake froze. Beneath the noise of collapsing metal and distant weapons fire, he heard something else. Soft, weak, a sound that didn't belong on a battlefield. Crying. Barely audible, almost swallowed by the chaos, but unmistakable. A child. Every instinct drilled into Jake screamed at him to ignore it. The Zephyrians were infamous for battlefield deception, lures, traps, but this sounded real. Against his training and better judgment, Jake moved toward it. The source was a collapsed storage chamber, half buried under fallen beams. Inside the wreckage, illuminated by flickering emergency light, was a small figure. Jake raised his rifle. Then his breath caught. It wasn't a soldier. It was a child. Blue-skinned, crystalline features, unmistakably Zephyrian but tiny. No more than 6 years old by human standards. Her golden eyes were wide with terror, her breathing ragged with pain. One slender leg was pinned beneath a fallen beam. Dark blood stained her torn clothing. For a long moment, Jake simply stared. In 3 years of war, he had only seen Zephyrians as towering, merciless warriors. This child looked nothing like the monsters from his nightmares. She looked scared. She looked hurt. She looked young. When she noticed him, she tried to crawl away, crying out in frightened alien sounds, but the beam held her fast. Terror filled her eyes. She expected him to kill her. Slowly, Jake lowered his rifle and raised his empty hands. "Hey," he said quietly. "It's okay. I won't hurt you." She didn't understand the words, but she heard the tone. She stopped struggling. Jake knelt beside the beam, inspecting her trapped leg. It wasn't broken, but she couldn't free herself. "This might hurt," he murmured. Even though she couldn't understand, he braced himself and lifted. The beam was heavier than it looked, but desperation lent him strength. He raised it just enough for the child to pull her leg free. She scrambled backward, pressing herself against the wall, staring at him in confusion. Then dash footsteps. Multiple sets. Fast. ZAPHI, and patrol. Jake spun toward the doorway. 4 soldiers advanced down the corridor, tall and lethal, plasma weapons ready. These weren't children. These were killers. Jake looked back at the girl. She tried to stand and failed. Her injured leg buckled beneath her. If the patrol found her, they'd take her. If they found Jake, they'd kill him. If they found them together, Jake had seconds to decide. Fight? 4 against 1 meant death. Hide? No space? Surrender? No mercy. Then he looked at the child again and chose. Jake dropped his rifle. He lunged toward her, wrapping his arms around her small frame and pulling her to the floor. Then he covered her completely with his body, turning himself into a shield between her and the doorway. She struggled, confused, frightened. Jake whispered. "Stay quiet." Somehow she understood. She went still, trembling against him. The footsteps stopped at the entrance. Voices barked in sharp, Zephyrian tones. A soldier stepped into the room. Weapon raised. Jake held his breath. Golden eyes scanned the wreckage, then they locked onto the movement. Beneath the fallen beams, human found, the soldier snarled in broken standard. Surrender or die. Jake didn't move. He pressed himself down harder, shielding every inch of the child beneath him. Another voice spoke hesitant. Command wants prisoners. But the first. Soldier was already furious. This one fights no more. The plasma rifle fired. The first bolt tore into Jake's shoulder, exploded through his body. Another hit his back. Then another. Jake bit down on his tongue, tasting blood. Refusing to scream, he did not move. Shot after shot burned into him. 6, 7 more. His vision blurred. The smell of burned flesh filled the air. Still, he didn't move. The shooting stopped. Jake barely felt the boot nudging his side. Still breathing, a soldier said. He won't last. Leave him. They turned to go. Wait, one said. I thought I saw movement beneath him. Jake's heart nearly stopped. Just falling debris, another replied. The station's coming apart. Let's go. The footsteps faded. Jake finally collapsed. The child crawled free and stared down at him. Her golden eyes filled with wonder. She touched his burned face gently, spoke a single word in her language. Why? Jake managed a weak smile. Because, he whispered. You're just a kid. He woke to gentle shaking. Pain consumed him. The child hovered over him, pressing torn fabric to his wounds. Her small hands, trembling as she tried to help. They hid together for days. She cared for him. He shared his food. She learned his name. Lyra. As infection took hold, Jake grew weaker. On the third day, rescue came. Saphirian soldiers, different voices this time. Worried. Searching. Lyra called out. Jake tried to sit up, and failed. Blue figures flooded the tunnel. Lyra spoke rapidly, pointing at Jake, repeating one word over and over. Saved. Strong hands lifted him. You are badly injured. Human, a voice said. We will help. The last thing Jake saw before darkness took him was Lyra reaching toward him, refusing to let them hurt him. 3 months later, Admiral Zara Lethus listened as her daughter finally told the full story. A human soldier. A shield of flesh against plasma fire. In Zephyrian culture, such an act created an unbreakable bond. Vel tar. A debt beyond blood. When Zara confirmed the truth, she made a decision no Zephyrian had ever made before. She would honor it, even if it meant changing the course of a war. Jake Martinez did not. Die in a prison cell. He was healed. Adopted. Changed. And because one human chose to protect a child instead of killing an enemy, a war ended. 2 civilizations found peace, and the galaxy learned that sometimes the strongest weapon is compassion.